gaining mercy. Yo, chick, she's so thirsty. I'm in that Tootsie Lambo with your girl, she trying to jerk. That's what my music needs to sound like, so I can get success making music that actually questions things and points out what's wrong. Well, that's the problem. So, I am not real happy about this video. And I guess I'm gonna wait a minute just so I can let other people join us who might want to be here. Yeah, this is gonna be a doozy. It's weird, Matt's still sleeping. Karen. Jane. Auto. Let's get Carrie in here just for the fucking fun of it. Alright, oh look, we have the dumbasses here. Good old, the other Kimberly. The other Ken, that's a dumbass, is here. I'm actually gonna show you guys a video today. And it's actually kind of cool because in more than one instance proves my point. But this is gonna. I hope you guys pay attention. Just get my shit all in order here. Karen, what's going on? What an interesting fucking day this is, Big Karen. First of all, of course, it's interesting to see how obsessed the trolls are with me. We posted a couple of shorts yesterday. We were in downtown Detroit walking through, and a couple of the buildings there. Well, one building in particular was just obviously Tartarian. But yeah, just give it a minute here. I'm actually pretty bummed out. Like, I'm bummed out in that I knew it. It was too good to be true. Kind of, I knew better. I never really gave in, but I was just hoping. Just hoping. Open. I've told this story many times, but it's always good to hear again. And my experience with Ken O'Keefe has been personal. I don't speak from a I heard somebody else say these things, or I saw it from the outside situation. I experienced it firsthand, and like it was really strange. Of course, all the evidence for it has been destroyed because they destroyed my Facebook page that all of it was attached to. So there's a chance that I'm lying about everything. You know how I lie all the time. But I can say I probably am not lying. But again, you never really do that. I could be lying. Big spoonful of kratom joy. Fuck, it's gross. My house with the paint. Ugh. Yucky. Huge advocate for kratom. Not gonna lie, it's disgusting. It's like really fucking bad. Ugh. It's so much easier to just swallow a pill that the doctors made, that the pharmacy gives me. It has opium in it. That'd be so much easier. Probably feel a lot better too. But, well, who wants to be associated with opiates? That's pretty bad. Lamborghini Mercy. Yo, chick, she's so thirsty. Alright, we are almost there. I just wanted to wait and see if we could give. Oh, now I'm down to one person. I was up to 4, but now I'm down to 1. Totally makes sense. Champion sound. Oh, all right. Okay. So we're almost there. Just hang on a second. Oh, Dave, you're too fat. Dave was too fat to jump up on the couch. Fat ass fell down. So we can go outside. For the first half, I need to buy a new extension cord because the one I have apparently no longer works. All right. Alright. 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 I would like to be barefoot, but so much of it is concrete. Alright, so I guess I'll start with showing. No, I'll start with. I'll tell the Ken O'Keefe story. A brief version of it, but a version nonetheless. Set the stage a bit, because, I'm telling you that I have a first-hand account of something that you have no reason to just accept, I guess. I mean, you have, whatever. Something tells me YouTube's going to not allow this to happen. So, 2016, I believe, is when I fell in love with Ken O'Keefe. I believed, the reason I fell for Ken O'Keefe is because he was the first person I ever saw actually calling out the Jews, actually saying the right things. And nowadays, especially with the hindsight I have, to look back on the videos he was making, he was clearly allowed to make. Why wasn't he shut down like I am? Because he was allowed to be. But he was doing the World Citizen Project, the World Citizen Tour, where he was going college campuses, pushing his spiel, really breaking the whole system open. Those videos were amazing. Again, in context-wise, like if you look at the time we were in, and what else was on Facebook and or YouTube or whatever, what was allowed to exist, these videos were revolutionary. He was getting up there, he would go to these college campuses and he would have be standing on stage and there'd be a room full of people there, and he would just let it out. And I remember watching, thinking, he's drinking a beer while doing it. What an off-putting measure. Weed is not something that hinders your cognitive abilities. Right? Alcohol hinders you. Alcohol is nasty. Alcohol is poison. The feeling that you get from alcohol is your body fighting off being poisoned. Like it's really fucked up. And if you take too much of the poison, it will kill you, right? And so, what's up, Karen? Welcome back. And so, I started watching Ken O'Keefe videos. I was just fascinated, and I was taking it all in, and I couldn't get enough. I would watch one video and then go to the next one, and then go to the next one, and go to the next one. Even though, he'd be saying similar things, still it was just so refreshing and amazing to watch. And so around June of 2016, I believe, it might have been 15, but I think it's 16, is when I really just was like, this guy is the shit. This was just before you could make live videos. So these would be videos that were uploaded, they were recorded and uploaded. And so at the time, I was doing the same thing. I was recording videos and uploading them to Facebook, and then I belonged to a bunch of different groups, and I'd share them, and my videos were getting 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 views. Like, it was pretty good. And back then, my focus was very much on chemtrails. Talked a lot about chemtrails at the time. And so when Ken O'Keefe, when I had gotten to the end of the Ken O'Keefe repertoire, when I the last video of him wasn't a Ken O'Keefe video. It was actually a video shot by the ADL members standing outside of a diner that he was in, and they were protesting. And at one point, at the end of the video, here's it. At the end of the video, he was, why has everything gone to shit so quickly? It hasn't. This has been happening for a long time. The video zoomed in on his face, and then he looked all scared, and then it cut. And that was the last, official video of Ken. And so I embarked on this campaign myself, where I was like, hey, I would make my videos and I would say, look, Ken O'Keefe is the guy. I'm secondary to Ken O'Keefe. I'll be a sergeant, but Ken O'Keefe is the general. And he's missing. So all of my fellow goy, stop what you're doing and try to help me find this guy. Let's figure out what's going on. You know, the world that he's in is a dangerous one. The world he's in is a dangerous one, especially with the way he speaks. And the last video was this ADL video. And this all happened relatively quickly. Oh yeah, but only the last few years with all the Palantir and flock safety. Yeah, you're right. Things have, you know, they've been progressing along pretty bad, but there has been a significant jump with those things, for sure. And so, you know, I make a few videos talking about this, when suddenly, out of the blue, Rudy Maxa messages me, along with this broad named Samantha Bachman. And both of them are like, hey, you know, I really like what you're doing with the Ken O'Keefe stuff, but there's more to it than you realize. I'm gonna tell you some stuff. I don't. I'm gonna feed you information. You can't really. You can't expose your source. I want you to keep our conversations quiet. But I'm going to, you know, help you with this. And I was, you know, at the time I was like, look, you know, I looked at it as a way that I could benefit myself. You know, what can I do here? How can I take advantage? And especially Rudy Maxa, these people are big names. So maybe if they share some of our songs, shit'll work out, right? And so for the next couple weeks, I'm being fed information about Ken O'Keefe. I make my video, and then shortly thereafter, within a day or two, those stories hit even bigger. So at the time, Ken O'Keefe, it was, you know, people were wondering, like, where the fuck is the guy? Turns out he took the $130,000 plus that was raised through the World Citizen Project. Some random Colombian girl, like half his age, 27 or some shit like that. He left his wife and kid at home to bail to Colombia with this broad. Now, again, this is, fuck if I know if that's the real Ken or if that's just the narrative that was used to cover for, you know, the destruction of, I don't know. But he disappears. Now, I had reached out to the Ken O'Keefe page. This is back when Ken O'Keefe only had like 28,000 followers or some shit, which seems like a lot, but for a guy of his stature, it's not. And you know, you don't do what Ken O'Keefe did. You don't go on a tour. You don't do what you can to build up your audience so that when you get to the position of having 100,000 people watching you, 100,000 views on your shit, you just bail without saying anything. It was all just really weird. And unfortunately, that narrative fit. And so I had written a song. We had produced the song, The Samson Option. And I'd sent it to the Ken people. And they were like, you know, at first they were like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, this, whatever, we'll get back to you. Like, blew me off. But as soon as I started making these videos, and they're getting traction, suddenly the Ken O'Keefe people reach out and they're like, oh, hey, yeah, we played this song for Ken. He liked it so much that we're gonna post it. And we're gonna pin it to the top of the page. This song, which is interesting.
When you're not supposed to pay attention, attention must be given. The past you're not allowed to mention, mentions the time we live in. When best intentions tend to lead to lesson comprehension, then lessons read as death beliefs, the rest suppresses question.
Right? Good stuff, good stuff. And so,
may insist I'm racist for how I view the Jews, but Judaism's not a race, it's something that you choose. They misconstrue the truth, confused like everyone else, who scream into the news, proving ignorance of self.
So for like a day, it backed me off. And I was like giddy. I was like, my ego got stroked. Ken O'Keefe likes my shit. Awesome. Blah, 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 blah. And then it dawned on me, hey, I still don't know where Ken is. All you did was kind of shut me up, but I'm still concerned about Ken's whereabouts. And so I immediately make the video, like, hey, what the fuck is going on here? And, it turns into some shit. His audience members are attacking me for being concerned about his well-being, and, it's really a weird situation. Eventually, I told Rudy, or I told Samantha about Rudy, or I told Rudy about Samantha, one of the two, and immediately they and I knew what they were doing the whole time. I knew it was me being manipulated. I knew it was me being used. But I was taking advantage of the opportunity. And of course, this is when Ken disappears, and for a couple of years he's gone, and he would pop up sporadically, and there would be some weird store shirt in like a Taiwanese fucking camp, something like that. And that's why he looked so much different. That's why his voice sounds so much different. Right? Like they didn't have the clone right. Again, I'm not one to get all into that kind of shit, but fucking hey, it sure seemed like something was going on. And then in the last 2 years or so, he sort of reemerged. He's on the Jake Shields podcast. And anytime you see him now, he looks the exact same. He's like this Malachi character where he's got this black hat with the red brim, and, like he looks like a complete fucking doofus nowadays, right? Oh, look, we have a fryer on here. And so I've been a fan of Rathbone for like a minute now, and you guys all recognize Rathbone's videos. Got some crazy hair, and he always makes, it's the Jews. He makes those videos. Like they're great videos. His live feed or his YouTube page, he definitely doesn't seem to have the same blocks on his shit that I do. He seems to be allowed to say things that I can't say. And that's same thing with a lot of these guys. Corey Cat Dad, same thing. But this morning, Rathbone puts out this video. We're going to watch it together. Okay? Just watch the whole thing together.
Now, Newsmax is conducting its own poll
and we'll go through it
on
as
President
we go.
Trump's job performance. It takes just a minute to vote.
Speaking of ointment, here's Alan Dershowitz going nuclear. He calls Jews idiots. These idiot Jews, he says. They have no idea what they're doing. People say they're smart. Yeah, they're smart. Some of them are the dumbest people I've ever met.
I have to tell you that the real problem is our Jews.
That's it. You just heard it. Alan Dershowitz. He's joining the anti-Semitic club. Welcome, Alan. Thank you. Welcome to the team. Good to have you. I think we need a good lawyer.
You have to hear the rest of that.
Anti-Semites.
He's talking about the friars. He's talking about the Jews who support Mandami and shit like that. Like it's not what you think. That's why he clipped it like that. That's why it's funny, right? He's not being serious, but
yeah, shut it down. End quote. The real problem. According to Alan Dershowitz, who would know? He studies the law. Wait, you know what? This would have made it better. If I was really a pro streamer, I would have done this. Let's just go back. Can we do a redo? You guys mind if we do a redo? You don't mind, right? Yeah, let's do a redo. All right, are you ready? Okay, quiet. Thank you. And action.
I have to tell you that the real problem are Jews. Jews at the...
That's it. That's what I got. You had to go with the Vine boom. The sound effect that puts it all together. Really brings it on home for us. All right. I hope you enjoyed that.
This deception was institutionalized in the now infamous Shema Bakura study published on April 21st, 2021 in the digital version of the New England Journal of Medicine.
Digital
21
version.
authors claimed the miscarriage rate was 12.6%, but the raw data revealed an 82% miscarriage rate in women vaccinated during the first trimester.
Oh my God. I've got an anti-vaxxer in the chat. Ken O'Keefe.
So I don't know if that means Rathbone is a pro-vaxxer, but that's fucking nuts.
Percent miscarriage rate in women vaccinated during the first trimester.
Oh my God, I've got an anti-vaxxer in the chat. Ken O'Keefe, he's always based.
Aloha from Tehran.
Got a weird aspect ratio to this.
You know,
It's got stretched, but that's all right.
I just wanted to share some thoughts here.
Look at him.
Number one,
He looks like a goofy
I know
character.
that they're lying about the death count of American service members. There is no doubt of this. The figures of...
So, basically, he's going to say a bunch of based shit, as Rathbone says. Bunch of shit that, you know, certain people aren't even allowed to say. But he proceeds to say, you know, all this. And I say, so I comment, right? I comment on the page, why does Ken O'Keefe get a pass? He stole $130,000 from his supporters. Like, this is not some conspiracy theory, right? This is not some rumor or, you know, this is cold hard fact. This is the truth, right? Ken stole all that money and bounced to Colombia with his fucking girlfriend. I knew a chick. We met her. Her name was Rita. Rita was like, yeah, I actually rented him a place or something. I can't remember what the actual narrative was, but she knew, like, it was all confirmed. He stole a bunch of fucking money from his fellow Goyim and left his wife and kid to go be with this 27-year-old Colombian girl. Why does he get a pass? And of course, my comment gets deleted within like a minute, you know. Usually the auto delete feature happens on, you know, within like 15 seconds or so. So the thing is, like, my comments on Rathbone's page usually don't get deleted. So it was very strange that my comment about Ken O'Keefe got deleted. And so, let's see. Do any of them even exist? They all got taken down, didn't they? Yep. All of my comments got taken down. And you know, and I said, Ken's he's a Christian cuck. He's clearly an Esther Project. He's the OG Esther Project. He's been manipulating our side of things for years now. And for some reason he gets a pass, and he you know, there's a lot to the story that should be being questioned. You know, whether it's the $130,000 that's missing, 30,000 plus, the you know, the voice change, the disappearing act, the new dress code, you know, whatever it may be, he owes us some answers. And for Rathbone's page to be deleting my shit, questioning that, really put everything into perspective. Really sealed the deal on whether Rathbone is Esther Project. No, mind you, his video has 7,748 views and 758 likes. So you already have a real disparity there. Like, wow, he's allowed to really exist out in this sphere, and 755 likes, basically 10% of his views are likes. And that's a little strange, don't you think? But this is how it works. Now look, my feed suddenly tanked. You know what? Should we reset? We're sitting at 1 and 3. Let's reset and we'll see what happens. Yeah, pedophiles, kill yourself.